And that was the countdown I heard at the beginning of the Gran Fondo Squally. That was in the Emilia-Romagna region in Italy, where I was just about 2 weeks ago. And
from what it sounds like, you were a big superstar out there.
Yeah, I was.
You got a call up, interviewed on maybe national TV.
Okay. So what Dan is referring to, social media editor Dan Walker is referring to. I'm Matthew Perot, editor of Canadian Cycling Magazine. I had an amazing call up because I was a guest of the Emilia-Romagna region, and so I had like a journalist pass to the front of the Fondo, which it's always a little weird because it's like I don't really have the legs to be here. But yes, there was a mic and a camera put in my face, I was asked what I thought of the region. You know, I answered truthfully and in English. I was having a good time. I liked the region.
You didn't try and do Italian?
Oh, no, there was no. Anyway, we're going to hear more about Emilia-Romagna, stage 9 of the Giro d'Italia, because that time trial course was there.
If I can just go back to some of your trip as we were following it through the Instagrams, It seems like they found a home for the newly retired left shark from the old Katy Perry Super Bowl.
Well, I mean,
Squally translates to shark.
Of course, yes. Gran Fondo Squally, but is left shark? Do people still remember left shark from the Super Bowl in 2015?
Yeah, that was the one. I guess it's like his retirement tour. You know, some people go to Florida. Shark mascots go to Fondos in Italy.
Well, they do have a shark mascot who does somewhat resemble left or right shark because they looked a lot alike in that Katy Perry performance. But no, this shark is slightly different. Maybe
he's more Euro.
Maybe dances more in rhythm to the beat. I don't know. I saw the shark a few times. We didn't really chat much.
Ah, okay.
But so we will get into that. Also, what's back in this episode, Dan?
Oh, it is full send, no send.
Nice.
We're with the Giro. We got some hot takes.
Yeah.
And it's prime riding season. I'm even seeing sun, so we're going to dive into some do's and don'ts. What's been plaguing us over the last few weeks.
There's something that's crawled up my nose that I feel like we need to address.
You have an area of grievances.
A bit of that. And finally in this episode, mountain bike editor Terry McCall kicks off a new segment. He's looking at the influence of Canadians on the discipline of mountain biking, not just in the past, but influential people today. He gets things started with a chat with a BC bike maker. Yes, Dan.
I was going to say, while that thesis-like name is intriguing, we're going to shout out to the Canadian MTB users for a new name for Terry's segment.
Yeah, Terry and I have been trying to think of a title, but nothing's come up yet.
Keep an eye on the Canadian MTB Instagram for a poll coming up in the next few days.
What should Terry's segment be called?
Yeah.
All right. First, though, let's head to Italy. Just before the start of the Giro d'Italia, I landed in Bologna. I didn't hang around to see the pros, though. No, I headed east to the Adriatic Sea, which was calm. Its waves hit the beaches gently. I was in the coastal town of Cattolica in the Emilia-Romagna region. I was there to check out the riding in the area and participate in the Gran Fondo Squally. I was nervous about the Fondo. It wasn't the distance, 135 kilometers. It wasn't even the climbing, about 2,100 meters. No, it was the weather. A storm was predicted. The forecast was for 75 millimeters of rain to fall, and for winds that would make these waters a lot rougher. Maybe it would send a shark swimming among the cyclists. My warm-up ride the day before the Fondo was a 101-kilometer trip from Cattolica to the microstate of San Marino. It's a country completely surrounded by the nation of Italy. San Marino has 2 heads of state who get elected every 6 months. My host in the Emilia-Romagna region elected to take my group to San Marino to sample the Stage 9 time trial route of the Giro d'Italia. The stage was won recently by Primož Roglič. On that day, as many of the pros raced the 34.8 kilometers of the stage, they faced wet, crummy weather, which seems to be a theme of this year's Giro. I, on the other hand, had wonderful, warm springtime weather. This climb was actually pretty deceptive. It was steep, got flat, and really kicked up again. And now, I think I'm the other side. It's hard to tell. But it's gorgeous. Off in the distance. Looks like 3 towers high up on these cliffs. I wasn't near the top. In fact, I was around Monte Giardino, about 10 kilometers from the finish. I would have known that if I had done what the pros and their directors do, that is, read the entry in the road book for the stage. Each year, Giro organizers put out Il Garibaldi. It's a tome with lots of information for the whole event. For Stage 9, there are gradients, distances, and some recommended wines. This is the 2019 Giro's wine stage after all. I think I had a nicer finish to my climb compared with the pros. My group stopped at a patio near the second tower in San Marino for a drink and a mid-ride snack. The view of the rolling hills was stunning. So I just did my first ride in the Emilia-Romagna region. I'm back, and it was a good ride. I love what the Garmin tells me that how much time for recovery that I need. It says I need 3.5 days, which I don't have that kind of time. I'm riding tomorrow again. I hope in the Gran Fondo squally, and it's gonna supposedly rain, so it'll be a soggy squally. But today's ride was great. The weather was fantastic. High 20s. It's totally springtime here. Big fluffy stuff from the trees are blowing around. It's almost like cotton. It got stuck to my cheeks. So we went from Cattolica to San Marino and back. And the and back was a very rolling sort of terrain. And into San Marino is a great climb. A lot of what we did will be the Giro route on the 19th of May. It's a time trial, and man, it's gonna be a good one. Now let's see, what does my computer say about the ride today? It was 101 kilometers, and the elevation was actually quite good. The total ascent is, let's see here, 1,417 meters. Not bad. Actually, I'm on the balcony of the bike hotel, and almost on cue, some fluffy seed pollen is just blown across my arm. I don't know if you can hear the fountain in the background, but it's in a square here in Cattolica. Yeah, that's a pretty good ride. And tomorrow I'm going to do, the plan is to do 2,500 meters of climbing. So it's going to be much climb here tomorrow. And only a bit longer, only about 35 kilometers longer. And the forecast calls for a ton of rain. Not keen, but you know, when you come to Italy to ride a fondo, you get ready for it. It's early in the morning, hours before the Gran Fondo squally. This event I've had on my calendar for a little while, but I've actually been dreading it the last week or so. It's not that I'm afraid of sharks or worried that there will be a shark in this fondo, Squally. Hey, when you think of Squally, you probably think of the shark of Messina, Nibali. But Vincenzo Nibali won't be here this year. He's a bit busy with the Giro d'Italia. No, I've been kind of dreading this event because of the weather. The forecast, even to yesterday afternoon, was calling for upwards of 75 millimeters of rain. Now that is a good soaking. That would have made for a soggy Squally. But right now it's not raining. And I'm checking the weather, and the rain will come. And so it says. And that almost makes things worse, because if it was simply raining, I would put on all the wet weather kit that I brought. Now, well, if it's not raining at the start, I don't want to be overdressed. As you can tell, this is going to increase the faff before I get ready for this event, and the humming and hawing over various types of kit. Yeah, these are totally Fondo cyclist problems, aren't they? Huge problems. Anyway, I better get to the faff so then I can get to the start line on time.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, via!
The shark ate my legs. That's the only explanation. The Gran Fondo Squally, or the Shark Gran Fondo here in Emilia-Romagna, is a tough one. I just finished it. I've just kind of gotten cleaned up, and wow, I'm pretty shelled. Yeah, the shark ate my legs. My legs were basically 2 harbor seals that just got consumed in one gulp. 2 gulps. I would say today's ride, when compared with yesterday's, which was to San Marino, today was definitely a much more type 2 fun. Yesterday was more type 1. That was fun. But today, definitely type 2 was in play for sure. Like with any Fondo, I find there's good things and bad things. I'm not here to win, so I'm here to enjoy the ride. But, I also want a good performance on the bike. What was weird today, or not satisfying, I would say, is like my climbing legs were gone. I probably left them in San Marino yesterday. Climbing is usually where, I really enjoy myself, especially like when I come to Italy and there's climbs that are just not the same that like the ones back at home. But yeah, no, climbing was a struggle today. But there you go. Also, my saddle turned on me. Now, I make it a rule never to complain about a bike that has been supplied for me, and the Emilia-Romagna tourism people have supplied me with a bike, and I'm very grateful. It worked great. But, and I thought about bringing my saddle, but I was like, nah. This saddle, it turned on me around kilometer 50. So that saddle and I are not friends. We're not speaking, especially my keister. It is not pleased with that saddle. But there's a lesson for you. When you're packing for a trip abroad, bring the things to the Gran Fondo that will make you comfortable. Saddle is key. I don't know why I forgot that, how important it is, but make sure you're comfortable on the bike. But I had a good time. There's a few moments that I'm actually happy with, surfing from group to group, as you kind of do at these events. I will say my performance that I'm happy with is I had a turn at the front of one of my groups, and I was actually able to pull us up and join us with another group that was down the road. So there you go. There's a win for me. Take the small victories. And then, of course, we made a turn, another turn, got to the base of a climb, and then I was out the back. The scenery on this ride is spectacular. This is the Emilia-Romagna region, so it's about 2 hours east of Bologna, and it's on the Adriatic, so the finish was actually high above the sea, or the let's say final maybe 10 kilometers. You had the sea on your right. So yeah, the spectacular scenery. And then when we were inland more, it was just like very pastoral, very rolling, very beautiful. It was a very well-organized fondo. Yeah, there was places to fuel along the way. I think on my ride, which was about 135 kilometers, it was the long route, there were 3 stations, maybe 4. So that was good. And there was lots of fruit and bread, desserty products, stuff, and water and Coke, all that stuff. It was well marshaled, well organized, well signed. So yeah, it was a good day out in the Emilia-Romagna region. But man, my legs are killing me. Oh yeah, what was the elevation? My Garmin has a Nutella smudge on it that I need to get off. Right at the finish, I got a Nutella crepe and inhaled it, and then smeared all this Nutella on my bike computer. So it says it says the ascent for the day was 2,073 meters. I was promised 2,500. It felt like 2,500. Either way, whatever. Who's going to quibble about 500 meters of climbing? Some of these climbs, you can hear the Garmin there looking for satellites. Some of these climbs were just steep kickers, and then they would kind of level out at maybe a 2%. Then you turn a corner and then just get hit with, I don't know, something in the 10% area. Okay, Garmin, we're going to turn you off now. That's enough. So now I need to recover. Maybe with a spritz. Actually, maybe it was the spritz yesterday that didn't help me find my climbing legs today. Or was it the local bubbly wine? You know, this is the thing you have to balance when you're traveling. You could focus completely on your performance and forego these local wine or drinks, but you know, it is a balance, and maybe it was worth that bubbly wine for leaving my climbing legs behind, or maybe not. Anyway, it was a good day out, and now I'm gonna have a good recovery.
Oh, and the weather I was worrying about? Well, let me move to where you can hear the rain. This is the rain hitting my balcony at the Hotel San Marco in Cattolica. It overlooks fountains of the town square called 1st of May or May Day, which you can't hear those fountains now over the rain. The rain started during the final 20 clicks of my ride. I got wet, but it wasn't too bad. Not long after I got back to my hotel, things really picked up. The wind and the rain getting stronger and stronger. I and 2,999 other participants got nicely lucky with the weather. For me, that made for a truly great time in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy.
And we are back for the people segment. It is full send, no send.
I'm so excited.
Yes. I'm so excited.
No,
singing. Oh, you know what? I would keep going, but rights, copyright. Sorry, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Adam. We are talking full send, no send. First off,
Yes.
Giro trash talk at the pre-race press conference. Starting off, which are usually honorific, but Simon Yates came out saying that he's confident, he's the favorite, and everybody else should be doing what, Matthew?
Well, we're not going to swear, so I will translate it as should be filling their pants.
Ugh, that was super gross.
Is that worse than the actual swear he said?
Much worse.
All right. Well, I'll let that image marinate with y'all.
Anyways, Vincenzo Nibali, winner of all the Grand Tours. All the Grand Tours. And he took offense, said that Yates should show a little more respect. Then on stage 4, Mikel Landa told Simon Yates that he was riding like a...
He said, I think, did this come out over Twitter or something?
Yeah.
Or Spanish sports website. Yeah, AS. He said, bleeping Yates is a bleep and rides like crazy. He crashed me in a roundabout. The first bleep that modifies Yates, it's a common word that starts with F. I don't know if it's working as an adjective there or some sort of intensifier. And the second bleep is a very antiquated term for someone referring to someone's mental capacities. It's maybe mostly used in schoolyards today.
All right. Full send, no send. What do you think of this trash talk? Is this spicing up the Giro that's been, let's say, less than the most exciting Giro so far?
Everyone says that. I don't know. Okay, but on the topic of the trash talk, I am a fan of riders speaking candidly because we get so much canned stuff. That's just banal. So it's kind
stage by stage.
Yeah, take it stage by stage. If I have to hear that one again.
See how the legs feel.
Yeah, full gas. But so their candidness is refreshing. Next step for these riders is just to up the game a little bit. Like maybe say something we can repeat, maybe use a little bit more wit. Like we're not at Muhammad Ali levels at all here.
So you're not mad at it, you're just mad at how they're doing it.
I just wish they would do it a bit better. Bring your A game and your smack talk, please.
Maybe we're partly to blame because every time they start trash talking, we get on them about doing something wrong or saying something offensive. So maybe we're stifling their creativity.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We're helicopter journalists.
We're helicopter parenting journalists at Trash Talk. So you know what? We get a no send for not encouraging this more.
Oh, I did not expect that. Okay.
Let's go. Move on. All right. I have recently suffered what I call a spate of disastrous maintenance karma.
Yeah, I remember you were in the middle of it, and
I thought I was out of the woods. I was the old everything bad happens in threes struck me down,
and you were in the midst of 2.
Yeah,
number 2 when we chatted last about this, and you thought, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? So here, let me just outline my spate of bad karma here. Tore my derailleur off on my cross bike. Flat tire in a crit. Broke my cleats.
Within what time frame was this?
I want to say 7 days.
In 7 days?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this is rough. So, do you believe in maintenance karma, Matthew? Full send, no send?
Full send, man. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've watched you suffer through it. I can't think of the last time. Oh, man, I'm just bringing bad karma when I say I can't think of the last time. Yeah, you're going to have to... Oh, man. Anyway, it's a thing. Yeah. We disagree on a lot of things, but I think on this one, maintenance karma is a thing. It happens in threes.
If you feel like you're about to embark on stages 1 or 2, is there anything you can do? Do you have to go to the altar of Eddie Merckx or Fausto Coppi and sacrifice an inner tube?
That's a good question. I don't know. In all these years of suffering through this karma, I think you're just a fatalist, and you have to accept it, your fate, which is to suffer.
Can you accelerate it?
Faster than 7 days? Could I get priority shipping?
Can I self-sabotage my equipment? No.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Oh look, I got a puncture. Hear that, cycling gods? We're good, right? No, I don't think you can do that.
All right.
But you can try it next time. Tell me how that goes.
Okay.
Final item on the full send, no send docket. This we've done sort of these quasi PSA full send, no send. I think this one's important because on my way to work today, I'm in the bike lane riding. I come to say a T intersection. Okay. I have the right of way. I can keep going straight through this intersection. From the road that's perpendicular, a cyclist turns right into my lane, in front of me. Are you following?
Yes.
I see you drawing the picture in your
I'm
head.
drawing the picture in my head.
So this rider turns in front of me.
Yeah.
And now I'm going at enough of a clip that I got to brake or swerve.
No big deal.
You're saying this is no big deal?
I'm saying, I'm just like, yes, you're a little humble brag about how fast you are.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah. I hoon it on my commute. Okay.
Yeah.
But it actually almost doesn't matter how fast I was going because this could happen to a slow rider.
Mm-hmm.
Rider. I'm a slow rider. But
Preach.
if someone cuts me off, they did a no-look right-hand turn. The cyclist just believes that he or she believes that they do not occupy any space. They can just turn right without looking to see what's coming.
Have you considered that this is a Blair Witch Project scenario and you're seeing dead people and that this person occupies no space?
No, don't get weird on me, dude. This person basically cut me off
Okay.
with a no-look right-hand turn. And so, obviously, you're going to agree with me. No send on this behavior. I mean, you got to look before you turn,
Let
man.
me try and distill this down for the people.
Am I not explaining this well? Is my rage just clouding my...
I think your rage is clouding your coherence.
Thank you. It's been known to happen.
Here's what you're trying to say. On a bike, you're still a vehicle.
Yes.
You still got to look.
You still got to look before you turn right.
The bike lanes operate like regular lanes.
Yes.
Yes. Take a page from the Dutch people.
Which
Comma people. Not the Dutch people, but the Dutch people.
Got it.
Anyways, go over there. You ride in a bike lane. It operates like traffic. It's smooth. Everyone knows the expected behaviors. Here we get a little hectic.
We do. We get a little screwy.
All right. Behave yourself out there, people.
Please be safe. Ride your bike. Love to see you out there in the bike lanes. Take a look before you turn right. Canadians have pushed the development of mountain biking since the early days. Sure, the fat tire bikes may have gotten their start in the US with builders such as Tom Ritchie, Joe Breeze, and Gary Fisher, and the culture got its start in Marin County. But Canucks have had a hand in mountain biking since the early days. Here to tell us more about that and a new series we're starting on the pod is mountain bike editor Terry McCall. Hey, Terry.
Hi, Matt.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going good.
Right on. So tell me briefly, like I know this is a big question, but what are some of the early Canadian influences on mountain biking and how early were they?
That is a big question. Canadian racers and brands were big in the cross-country scene throughout the 90s, with Alison Sider and Andreas Hessler winning races, and Bromont and Mont Saint Anne featuring on the World Cup circuit regularly. While that was happening, BC was working hard to redefine what mountain biking could be, pushing freeride as a whole new way of riding bikes. Behind this movement were Canadian brands like Rocky Mountain, Da Vinci, and Brody, making bikes that could survive the new style of riding.
Ah, yes, freeride and the famous fro riders, Richie Schley, Wade Simmons, and Brett Tippie. Yeah, and it's almost like they even were early on with the marketing and development of like those, what were those videos called? New World Disorder and stuff like that.
North Shore Extreme.
That's it, North Shore Extreme. There you go. And and you mentioned some companies that were influential, some Canuck companies. What are some brands that are new and active today?
Well, those names are all big established companies now, but in the 90s, a lot of them were smaller sized companies that were just doing things differently to reflect how Canadians were riding. And right now we're seeing what could be the next wave of Canadian mountain bike companies that are supporting new style of riding.
So is this like a renaissance, like a resurgence on the Canuck side?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say like Canadian mountain biking has never really gone away. We're just starting to see a new group of smaller, medium-sized companies that are trying to do things a little bit differently.
Interesting. And what company are we going to look at today?
Today we're going to look at Knolly Bikes.
And briefly, what's Knolly all about?
Knolly is a small company started by Noel Buckley, who they focus on making aluminum mountain bikes and making a really high quality mountain bike that will stand daily riding on North Shore, on the mountains outside Coquitlam, and all of BC is really kind of aggressive and demanding bikes or bike riding.
Great. Well, you had a pretty far-ranging discussion with Noel, and you're going to bring us some highlights from that discussion, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was really interesting to hear all about the development and the motive behind his brand.
Well, right on. Let's get to it.
Before starting Knolly, Noel Buckley worked in engineering, first in forestry and then in the hydrogen fuel cell industry. I asked him how he came to the decision to leave that career behind to start his own bike company.
In that time, I had some downtime due to some injuries riding in the early 2000s, and that's really where the start of the bike designs came from. And at that time, it was just mostly for fun. Yeah. So it got to the point in around 2004, 2005, where I had enough desire for this bike I designed, which was the original VTAC, to make a small production run of them, which is about 40 frames. Yeah. And so that was kind of crazy. And then a couple years after that, I decided, well, maybe there's more to this. So in 2007, we started Knolly I started Knolly as a full-time business with like one employee. And we're not a huge business now, certainly, but we've been around for 10 years, and we have a very loyal customer base, and we make a unique product. And this industry, I feel very strongly, is becoming very homogenized in terms of what the products look like. And we kind of stand outside of that, for better or for worse.
Knolly is known for their aluminum bikes, which tend towards the high end instead of the budget range. I asked Noel if this carried over from his days in forestry.
No, we definitely make a lot more aluminum bikes, but I would say that we don't necessarily have a preference for one material over the other. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to rush product to market. So the way the vast majority of the industry works, and certainly at the big players and even the larger mid-sized players, like they have to continually pump out product. And then if you want to play with the bigger players, or at least get to a mid-size level, you have to have consistent product releases. We're probably the opposite. We're probably really bad at having consistent product releases. But what we don't like to do is just bring something new to the market for the sake of bringing something new. So we tend to have these product generations that typically last for about 3, maybe maximum 4 years. And in the case of where we're at recently, that product generation up until before the Future release, so what we call our 4th gen product. So that was the Warden alloy, the Endorphin, the Delirium was kind of like a Gen 4.5 product in terms of advancements in geometry on it, and same with the Warden Carbon.
Now that Knolly has expanded into carbon, I asked Noel why the company continues to make both alloy and carbon fiber frames.
We feel that the industry is becoming very cost sensitive, right? So there's this high-end carbon, there's this mid-level carbon, there's this low-end carbon. Is it really that different? If it is, what makes it different? My position is, well, people always talk about, the material's better. Okay, well, that's an easy out. The reality is the manufacturing process is totally different. And there's a lot of corners cut if you need to make, a frame on the market for say $2,500 Canadian versus one that's like over 4,000 Canadian. Like they either, if we sell an expensive frame, we're ripping the customer off if they cost the same to make, or the cheap frame is, having to cut so many corners that you got to wonder what you're buying, right? So it can't be that they're all the same. It can't be that one product costs 60 or 70% more than the other, and yet they're identical. So that's our position. So to add to that, then we feel like, okay, well, for the cost of that lower cost carbon frame, we feel we can make a better bike in aluminum. We can give you a better quality product that has better performance overall on it, and better reliability and higher quality construction, better longevity, all those things in aluminum at that price point. And then for carbon, we just feel like we need to have a high price for it because we manufacture it the highest quality way, and we don't cut corners. Like everything we do in the manufacturing side is designed to build the highest quality product.
Knolly recently launched the Fugitive, the first of the brand's 5th generation bikes. It is one of the earliest frames to adopt the growing Boost 157 standard instead of Boost 148. I asked Noel about the decision to go with the less accepted standard and what that meant to the company.
As we saw the world switching to Boost, because obviously there's a lot of market pressure to do that, I looked at it and just said, this is insane. Like, there's already an existing standard that's not that much wider, and all the so-called advantages of Boost really could be so much better if you executed the bike in 157. The flip side is there was literally, like, the wheels weren't the big issue, the drivetrains were the issue in terms of cranks. So when we made that decision, there was literally one crank option on the market to support that. And since then, there are now several. So there are some really big gambles in terms of that decision-making process.
Asked if there's any hesitation about putting so much investment into a standard that was, at the time, pretty uncommon, Noel is emphatic in his response.
I mean, non-existent. I mean, yes, of course. It wasn't like we took one model and did it. We basically bet the company on the fact that we'd be able to push forwards with this. And we're fortunate enough there's a couple other companies out there now that have also decided to go this direction.
Knolly was born from Noel's years of riding Vancouver's North Shore. I asked him if there was any bias in how the bike rides that reflects where it was designed.
It's less true now than it was at the start of the business. And at the start of the business, we had this reputation of making these like super badass burly bikes that you could pretty much run over with a monster truck and they were still fine. Or you can just like throw it on the railway track and the train come by and pick it up afterwards and ride it again. I would say we've learned a lot from them, right? Because it's really easy to make a bike that's a good pedaling bike, a mountain bike that's a really good pedaling bike on the pavement or on a gravel road or fire road, or especially if the conditions are good. What's really difficult is to make a bike that can work in those easy environments and then work better in a more difficult environment and then still be like unflappable in a really serious environment. And that for us is like, whatever that environment happens to be, it doesn't have to happen to be a BC environment. I've certainly had the pleasure of riding lots of really hard trails outside of the North Shore, right? And I don't just mean Whistler or Williams Lake.
Noel Buckley is the founder of Knolly Bikes, which is in Burnaby, BC. Terry McCall is the web editor of Canadian MTB. And that's the episode. It's put together by me, Matthew Piaro, and Dan Walker, and Terry McCall, and we had help from Philippe Tremblay. It's produced by Adam Killick. He's also composed all the music to this episode.
I got a lot of compliments on the music from the last episode, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to tell Adam, but yeah, people liked it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Ontario Media Development Corporation for its support.
And if you want more great cycling news with a Canadian twist, check out cyclingmagazine.ca. There you can find all our social channels. You can find some sweet gear reviews, awesome commuter tips, and just a little bit about what the community's talking about in Canada here. And please send us your ideas for full send, no send to podcast@cyclingmagazine.ca, and rate, review, subscribe wherever you're listening to this, wherever your friends are listening to this. And if you are writing a review, Matthew, what should they say?
They should say something nice. Something positive.
And how many stars should they give it?
The correct number of stars is 5.
Correct.
Right on. Who should listeners tell about the Canadian Cycling Magazine podcast?
Well, in honor of the Stage 9 Sangiovese wine trial, they should go tell their local sommelier.
Yeah. Hey, this wonderful Sangiovese wine you're pouring me? It's connected to the Giro d'Italia.
Now, if you don't have a sommelier on call, and I don't know who doesn't, but
like you do,
you can go to your local government liquor store, and I'm sure they'd be happy to recommend something nice.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.